Most women believe men become attached because of beauty alone. That isn't how it really works. A man may admire a beautiful face, but what truly keeps him thinking about one woman is something much deeper. It is the emotional experience she creates whenever they are together. Today, you're going to discover 3 beautiful behaviors that make a man not only enjoy being around you, but become deeply connected in a way he may never fully explain. Picture this for a moment. He could meet dozens of attractive women every year, yet the one who stays in his mind is the woman who makes him feel something rare. That is the real difference. It isn't about pretending, manipulating, or acting like someone else. It comes from naturally touching parts of his heart that few people ever reach. When that happens, he starts looking forward to hearing from you. He notices your absence. He values your presence. And over time, he doesn't want to lose what he feels when he's with you. Stay with me until the very end, because the final behavior is often the one that separates a woman he simply likes from the woman he never forgets. Let me ask you something first. Have you ever felt like you did everything you possibly could? You looked your best. You smiled. You listened. You were warm, kind, funny, and easy to talk to. Yet somehow he slowly became distant or completely disappeared without giving you a real explanation. If you've lived through that, you're far from the only one. The truth is that lasting attraction has much less to do with appearance than most people think. It has everything to do with the emotional part of a man's mind that quietly searches for trust, comfort, and genuine connection. In this video, you'll learn 3 simple but powerful behaviors that naturally encourage a man to become emotionally invested. These are not games, they are not tricks. They are healthy feminine habits that help a man feel understood, appreciated, and emotionally safe enough to open his heart. We're going much deeper than the usual dating advice because real attraction isn't built by saying perfect words. It grows through emotional experiences that stay with someone long after the conversation ends. By the time this video is over, you'll understand not only why some women leave a lasting impression, but also how you can naturally create that same unforgettable feeling. If you're ready to stop wondering why men lose interest and start becoming the woman they genuinely value, keep watching because what comes next may completely change the way you see attraction. When people wonder what makes a man emotionally attached to one woman, they usually point to physical attraction first. Of course, attraction matters. It creates the first spark. But sparks fade unless something stronger keeps the fire alive. What truly builds a lasting bond is how a man feels about himself whenever he's with you. Think about that carefully because it changes everything. Just like women, men carry emotional questions inside them every single day, even if they rarely say them out loud. Deep inside, many are asking themselves, do I feel appreciated here? Am I respected? Can I relax and simply be myself? Does she notice who I am beyond what I own or what I achieve? Those quiet questions matter far more than most people realize. When a woman naturally answers those questions through her actions instead of trying to impress him, something shifts inside him. He begins to associate peace, confidence, and emotional comfort with her presence. That creates a connection that is much harder to replace than physical attraction alone. Many women believe they must constantly prove their value by being more entertaining, more attractive, or more impressive than everyone else. Yet the women men remember, most, usually do something completely different. They don't compete for attention. They don't force chemistry. They don't perform. Instead, they create an atmosphere where a man feels accepted while still wanting to become an even better version of himself. It feels warm without becoming boring. It feels exciting without becoming stressful. It becomes a place where he feels encouraged instead of judged, understood instead of criticized, and comfortable enough to lower the emotional walls he normally keeps around his heart. Keep listening because the next part explains why this simple shift has such a powerful effect on the way a man thinks about you long after you've walked away. Real emotional attachment is not created by drama or mind games. Those things may create excitement for a short time, but they rarely build something that lasts. A deep connection grows when a woman carries both kindness and healthy boundaries at the same time. She doesn't run after love or give away every part of herself hoping someone will stay. Instead, when she chooses to be present, she is completely there. She listens with genuine interest. She speaks with warmth. She carries quiet confidence because she already knows her worth. This is where something powerful begins. A man starts feeling deeply connected when he realizes he can be completely himself around you, while also feeling inspired to become his best self. In a world where many men feel pressure to stay strong, hide emotions, and carry every burden without complaint, meeting a woman who accepts both his strengths and his struggles feels incredibly rare. That experience stays with him. It reaches much deeper than attraction alone. In just a moment, I'll show you exactly how this response begins and why it changes the entire direction of a relationship. Stay with me because the next part often surprises people, and once you understand it, you'll never look at emotional connection the same way again. The first natural behavior that quietly transforms everything is something many people misunderstand. It isn't about acting a certain way or following outdated ideas. It is about the emotional atmosphere you create without even trying. And once you learn how it works, you'll notice why some women naturally leave an unforgettable impression while others, no matter how attractive, slowly fade from memory. So, what is this first behavior that naturally pulls a man closer? It comes from living with calm confidence instead of constant pressure. Before we go further, let's clear up a common misunderstanding. This isn't about being passive, weak, or giving away your voice. Those ideas belong in the past. Real feminine presence is confident, peaceful, and deeply attractive because it offers something many men quietly long for. Every day, life asks them to achieve more, solve problems, protect others, and keep moving no matter how they feel. When they meet a woman who brings warmth, emotional openness, and a sense of peace, it stands out immediately. She isn't chasing. She isn't trying to prove she's enough. She already believes in her own value. She stays present instead of trying to force every outcome. She allows conversations to grow naturally instead of trying to control every moment. That quiet confidence changes everything. A man doesn't simply notice her. He feels comfortable around her. He feels like he can stop pretending for a while. The walls he normally keeps high begin to lower without him even realizing it. He doesn't have to wear a mask or constantly impress her. He can simply exist, and that feeling becomes incredibly meaningful. He may never find the perfect words to explain why he keeps thinking about her, but emotionally he keeps coming back because her presence feels different from what he experiences almost everywhere else. Keep watching, because the next insight explains why this feeling becomes so difficult to replace once it takes root. One reason this kind of presence feels so powerful is because it has become uncommon. So many people spend their days rushing, proving themselves, fixing problems, or constantly thinking about what comes next. But when you bring genuine calm into a conversation, people immediately notice. It shows in small moments that seem simple but carry enormous emotional weight. It's in the way you enjoy life without forcing attention onto yourself. It's in a smile that reaches your eyes instead of feeling rehearsed. It's in the small pause before answering, giving your words meaning instead of reacting instantly. It's in creating space where both people feel heard instead of competing to speak. It's in sharing your feelings honestly rather than trying to solve every emotional moment with logic alone. When you live this way, your words, your expressions, and your body language all communicate the same message. You are comfortable being yourself. You aren't performing. You aren't trying to become whoever you think someone else wants. Ironically, that authenticity is exactly what makes you unforgettable. It gives a man permission to be genuine too. Naturally, he begins showing more confidence, more honesty, and more leadership, not because you demanded it, but because your energy quietly invited it. Together, that creates a balance that feels exciting without becoming stressful. It creates closeness without losing individuality. And that combination often becomes the foundation for lasting attraction instead of short-lived excitement. There is also a fascinating psychological side to all of this. What feels like simple chemistry is actually connected to the way the brain responds during emotionally healthy relationships. When a man experiences calm, acceptance, respect, and genuine emotional openness with someone, his brain starts connecting that person with positive emotional experiences. He begins looking forward to seeing her again because being around her feels rewarding, comforting, and emotionally refreshing. Positive emotions become linked with her presence. As trust grows, he naturally wants to spend more time with her, open up about things he normally keeps hidden, and build a stronger connection. Instead of feeling judged, he feels understood. Instead of feeling pressure, he feels accepted, while still being encouraged to grow. This combination creates a powerful emotional bond that lasts much longer than attraction based only on appearance. When someone consistently makes us feel peaceful, appreciated, and emotionally secure, our minds begin to associate that person with happiness and stability. That is why certain people remain unforgettable long after a conversation ends. They don't leave because of dramatic moments. They stay in our memories because of the way they consistently made us feel. And this is only the beginning. The next behavior goes even deeper and explains why some connections continue growing stronger with time instead of slowly fading away. You won't want to miss what comes next because this is where everything starts coming together. When he spends time with you, something begins to change inside him. He feels more relaxed, more balanced, and more comfortable being himself. Without even noticing it, his mind starts connecting those peaceful emotions with your presence. That matters more than most people realize. Every message from you, every conversation, every smile, even the thought of seeing you again starts bringing back those same positive feelings. Over time, he doesn't only miss your appearance, he misses the way he feels whenever you're around. That is why certain women leave such a lasting impression. It isn't because they always know the perfect thing to say or because they fit some impossible standard of beauty. It's because they create an emotional experience that feels safe, exciting, and deeply real. They remind him what it feels like to relax, laugh, and genuinely connect. That kind of feeling stays with people. It cannot be copied with charm alone. The beautiful part is that it doesn't require perfection. It only asks you to be genuine, emotionally present, and confident enough to stay true to yourself. Once you understand this, everything begins to shift. You stop trying to force affection or chase attention because you realize the strongest attraction grows naturally. Keep watching because the next behavior builds on this foundation and quietly increases the respect he has for you almost immediately. Many people overlook it, yet it often becomes the difference between temporary interest and lasting emotional investment. The next few minutes may completely change how you think about attraction, so don't click away yet. If warmth opens the door to a man's heart, self-respect is what keeps that door valuable. It isn't what holds him through pressure or fear. It keeps him emotionally interested because he recognizes your value. There is something quietly powerful about a woman who refuses to accept uncertainty, mixed signals, or half-hearted effort simply to avoid being alone. Many people misunderstand what self-respect really looks like. It doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't come from pride, arrogance, or pretending you don't need anyone. Real self-respect is calm, steady, and impossible to shake. It comes from knowing your worth without constantly trying to convince others of it. When you carry yourself this way, people notice. You don't beg for attention. You don't chase after someone who keeps pulling away. You don't spend endless energy proving why you're enough. Your actions already speak for you. That changes the emotional balance. Instead of wondering whether he likes you enough, he begins asking himself if he is showing up in a way that deserves a place in your life. That quiet shift often creates stronger attraction than any clever dating strategy ever could. Respect grows naturally because your standards are visible without needing long explanations. Stay with me because what comes next explains how these quiet choices completely change the direction of a relationship over time. The truth is surprisingly simple. People tend to value those who value themselves. When you refuse to accept confusing behavior, you quietly teach others how you expect to be treated. When you move slowly instead of rushing into emotional commitment, you give someone the opportunity to truly recognize your character. And when you're willing to step away from situations that don't match your values, even when it's difficult, you protect your peace instead of sacrificing it for temporary attention. Healthy boundaries are a huge part of this. They aren't walls built to keep love away. They are thoughtful filters that protect your emotional well-being. You stay open without becoming unprotected. You remain caring without abandoning your own needs. You can be gentle while also standing firm. That combination is incredibly attractive because it reflects emotional maturity. A confident man isn't searching for someone to rescue. He's looking for someone who can stand beside him as an equal partner. He wants to know your affection comes from genuine choice, not from fear of being alone. That's what makes trust grow. Some people may spend time chasing relationships built on insecurity, but lasting partnerships are usually built with people who carry quiet confidence and emotional stability. When kindness is combined with self-worth, your presence becomes naturally magnetic. People don't simply want your attention because you're available. They value it because they understand it comes from someone who values herself first. And that's exactly what makes your time, your energy, and your presence feel meaningful. Now picture how this looks in everyday life, because this is where everything becomes real. Imagine you're sitting together and he begins talking about something that's been weighing on his mind. Instead of immediately trying to solve every problem or filling the silence with advice, you simply listen. You stay curious. You ask thoughtful questions. You let him finish without interrupting. That simple act creates emotional safety because he feels heard instead of judged. Or imagine you're spending an afternoon together. Rather than trying to control every detail or worry about making everything perfect, you enjoy the moment. You laugh easily. You let your playful side appear naturally. That positive energy makes spending time with you feel refreshing instead of stressful. Think about another situation. He sends a last-minute message asking to see you. Instead of dropping every plan you already made, you kindly explain that you already have time set aside for yourself and suggest another day. You're not distant. You're simply honoring your own life. That quiet confidence often earns far more respect than always saying yes. Then there are the moments when you share something personal. Maybe it's a dream you're chasing, a lesson you've learned, or a challenge you've overcome. You don't overshare everything at once. You allow trust to grow naturally. That honesty creates closeness while still leaving room for curiosity. He starts wanting to know more, not because you're hiding yourself, but because every conversation reveals another meaningful layer. And that's exactly what keeps genuine connection growing long after the first attraction has faded. Maybe you mention one of your dreams or briefly talk about an experience that shaped you, but you don't tell your entire story in one conversation. You leave room for curiosity. You allow him to ask questions, learn more, and slowly discover different parts of who you are. That quiet sense of mystery keeps the connection fresh because people naturally value what unfolds over time. Then think about those moments when you disagree. The way you handle conflict often says more than the words you choose. Instead of reacting with anger or trying to prove you're right, you stay calm, thoughtful, and confident. You express your feelings without attacking his character. That emotional balance shows maturity, and maturity naturally earns respect. These simple moments are where everything we've discussed becomes real. Attraction grows stronger through everyday choices, not dramatic scenes. A lasting bond is created through emotional safety, healthy boundaries, and genuine kindness. No games, no pretending, just two people building trust, one conversation at a time. Remember this because it changes everything. The combination of warmth, self-respect, and emotional security creates an experience that feels difficult to replace. A man isn't only attracted to you, he begins looking forward to how he feels whenever you're together, and that's where real connection begins to grow. Stay with me because the next part may be the most important insight of this entire video. It explains the hidden ingredient that transforms attraction into something steady, meaningful, and capable of lasting through life's challenges. Now let's explore what may be the most powerful behavior of all, creating emotional safety. It sounds simple, yet it quietly becomes the foundation of every healthy and lasting relationship. Without it, attraction slowly loses its strength, and even love struggles to grow. Emotional safety means creating an environment where someone feels comfortable being completely honest without worrying about constant criticism, rejection, or embarrassment. It means becoming the kind of person who listens before judging, supports instead of controlling, and cares without attaching endless conditions. When a man experiences this kind of emotional space, something remarkable begins to happen. The walls he has built over the years slowly come down. He no longer feels the need to appear perfect all the time. He begins talking about his hopes, his fears, his disappointments, and even the parts of himself he usually keeps hidden. That level of openness creates a closeness that surface attraction alone can never produce. It becomes a healthy emotional bond built on trust instead of pressure. So, how do you create that kind of environment? It begins with your response during difficult conversations. When he shares something vulnerable, do you react with patience and understanding? Do you try to understand before giving advice? Even when you disagree, do you allow him to feel heard? These small choices may seem ordinary, but together they create a relationship where trust grows naturally. Keep watching because the next point explains why consistency matters just as much as kindness. Emotional safety is built through consistency, not occasional grand gestures. Someone needs to know they can rely on you during joyful moments and during difficult seasons too. When life becomes stressful, your calm presence often matters more than finding the perfect words. Remaining supportive through both success and disappointment shows that your care isn't based only on convenience. That reliability creates deep confidence in the relationship. Another important part is respecting emotional timing. Sometimes a man isn't ready to share everything immediately, and that's completely normal. Pushing too hard or demanding instant openness can actually make him withdraw. Instead, let him know you're available whenever he feels ready. Give him room without making him feel abandoned. At the same time, managing your own emotions wisely plays an equally important role. During disagreements, staying composed instead of reacting impulsively shows emotional strength. It tells him that challenges can be solved together rather than becoming threats to the relationship. Emotional safety doesn't mean avoiding conflict or pretending everything is perfect. Healthy relationships still face misunderstandings and difficult conversations. The difference is that both people know those moments won't destroy the bond they've built. Over time, this kind of trust encourages greater closeness, deeper conversations, and stronger emotional connection. This is where attraction begins changing into genuine partnership. And we're not finished yet, because the next insight explains why this naturally inspires long-term commitment instead of short-term excitement. When people think about building a lasting relationship, they often focus only on attraction or chemistry. Those things are important, but they are only the beginning. The quality that transforms excitement into lasting commitment is loyalty. Real loyalty cannot be forced through rules or control. It becomes a daily decision because someone feels valued, respected, and emotionally fulfilled inside the relationship. A man stays committed when he believes being with you improves his life in ways that go far beyond appearance or temporary excitement. One of the biggest reasons this happens is because he feels genuinely understood, not just complimented, but accepted as a whole person while still being encouraged to grow. That balance is incredibly meaningful. Trust becomes another essential piece. When he knows your words are honest, your actions are consistent, and your respect remains steady, he feels safe investing his heart completely. Appreciation also matters more than many people realize. When his efforts, thoughtfulness, and everyday acts of care are noticed instead of ignored, it creates a positive cycle. Feeling appreciated encourages people to continue showing up with love, patience, and generosity. Healthy relationships thrive when both partners recognize each other's contributions instead of taking them for granted. Emotional closeness grows stronger because each person feels important, respected, and supported. And that's the kind of connection that continues becoming more valuable with time instead of slowly fading away. Stay with me, because the final part brings all of these ideas together in a way that may completely change how you see lasting love. Opening up about your dreams, your fears, and the parts of yourself that truly matter creates a connection that is very difficult to replace. Little by little, the relationship begins to feel less like two separate people spending time together and more like two partners walking through life on the same path. That sense of teamwork builds a deeper emotional bond because both of you feel supported, understood, and appreciated. At the same time, never forget how important it is to keep your own identity. A confident man naturally respects a woman who has her own goals, hobbies, friendships, and purpose outside the relationship. When you continue growing as an individual, you become even more interesting over time instead of losing yourself in the connection. That independence creates admiration because it shows confidence rather than dependence. It tells him that you're choosing to be with him, not relying on him to complete you. Consistency is another powerful piece of the puzzle. Being dependable, thoughtful, emotionally available, and honest day after day creates a feeling of stability that cannot be replaced by temporary excitement. When he knows your kindness isn't just for good days, but remains steady through life's challenges, trust naturally becomes stronger. Loyalty isn't built overnight through grand promises. It grows quietly through emotional closeness, honesty, appreciation, mutual respect, and genuine care shown over time. Keep watching, because the final message brings every lesson together and shows how these simple habits can completely change the way lasting love is created. As we reach the end of this journey together, take a quiet moment and think about everything we've explored. You now understand three powerful behaviors that help create a deep emotional connection, bringing warmth and calm into your presence, protecting your self-respect through healthy boundaries, and creating emotional safety where trust can grow naturally. These are not shortcuts or clever techniques designed to impress someone. They are the building blocks of relationships that remain strong long after the excitement of the beginning has passed. The truth is that love doesn't grow because you try harder to earn it or because you become someone you're not. Real attraction becomes stronger when you show up honestly, confidently, and with an open heart. When you live this way, you don't simply catch someone's attention for a moment. You leave a lasting impression because your presence feels genuine. That's what people remember. They remember how you made them feel. If this insight has been helpful so far, stay with me for just a little longer because the next part explains how to begin applying these ideas in everyday life. Sometimes one small change creates a much bigger difference than you ever expected, and your first step may be easier than you think. Your next move doesn't need to be dramatic. In fact, the strongest changes usually begin with one simple decision repeated consistently. Choose one area that feels natural to practice first. Maybe you decide to become more present during conversations instead of worrying about saying the perfect thing. Maybe you strengthen a boundary that protects your peace while still remaining kind.